Hi guys, what is up? It is Alex here. We are back with the Go-Kart Championship in 2016. Yes, I nearly said 2015, but yeah, I'm excited for this to be back. I mean, it's something I've always enjoyed, go-karts, and this is qualifying for the first round. I'll quickly run through who's taking part. So we've got myself. This is the GoPro camera for today is on myself. See, my dad's wearing the white helmet and the blue overalls. We've got John with the red helmet. And we'll see Tom briefly. No, we don't quite see him just yet. Well, I'll point out Tom when we see him in the video as well. But Tom's going around as well as Tom L. That is not Tom L. Yeah. Okay. Probably makes really confusing for you guys. But yeah, you just look at the website and you'll get used to everyone's name and watch some previous videos. But I'm excited for this round because it was in the. It wasn't raining, but it was obviously wet conditions, so you know, a greasy track was really exciting for me. I love this layout of the track. It's just so much more fun in my opinion. I think we'll see Tom L here when I just sort of back off. So Tom L's there with the dark overalls and the white and black helmet. So yeah, there's only 4 people here today, but I didn't really mind because I knew this was going to be really exciting nonetheless. It was John's second time coming go-karting, and it was on the different layout last time, so he's a bit of a baptism of fire for him really, coming into this layout of the track on the wet conditions as well. But yeah, I think he was looking forward to it. You can see Tom L in front of us here. He's also got his GoPro footage, so he's got his own GoPro now. So if he uploads it, I'll leave a link to his channel down below. So if you can go and subscribe to him and watch his videos, if he has got a channel at the moment, I'd appreciate that. Hopefully you guys can watch his point of view as well. Maybe you can put it side by side with mine or something if you're interested. But yeah, he's going to be a big contender for the championship this year, so it's definitely worth going and checking out his videos. He gets electric starts, you guys have seen in all of my videos over the last 6 months or so since he's been coming karting, so definitely go and check out his channel. I'll leave it down below. He might not have made one yet, but if he has, I'll leave a link in the description. This is qualifying, and as I said before I sort of started telling you guys who everyone's name was, I'm pretty excited for this season to start because this is actually only going to be a 6-round season. The last 2 seasons have been actually 12 rounds, and this one's going to be a 6-round season because I need to sort of finish the season off before some news, which will come later on hopefully in the year. I mean, still fingers crossed, nothing official yet, but some news later on in the year which will mean that I probably won't be able to go karting basically for the sort of last part of the year. So that's why I've got to try and finish off the season, and that's why I made it a 6-race season, 6-round season obviously, sorry. And I don't know what happened here, to be perfectly honest guys, but I think I was just going really slowly and I just turned the car a bit too much. It got a bit too sideways and it just lost all grip, and I spun round. It's the first time I spun in ages, I remember correctly. Like, I didn't even mean to spin there. Like, sometimes I do little sort of sideways on purpose, but yeah, I just didn't mean to spin there whatsoever. But now that gives me a big gap to Tom. Obviously I refer to him as Tom in this video here, but it's Tom L, not the normal Tom with the green overalls you guys might have seen in the previous rounds. Normal Tom, sorry, that just sounds so bad, but Tom, not Tom L, might not be able to come as much this season. I'm not too sure whether he's still up for karting as much, but if Tom does want to come in the future, obviously that'd be pretty cool, as many people as possible. But Tom L today looking pretty fast, even with my spin. He has been gaining a lot of time here, but this is Tom L's first time around this track as well, so it's just myself and my dad actually who know this track, so maybe that's a slight advantage. But I don't know, Tom L and John both learned the track really quickly on their first times karting, so it's probably not much of an advantage, especially when I weigh we all weigh more than Tom L here today has definitely got a weight advantage on everyone else. I mean, my dad, obviously myself and John, we're all pretty tall, so it definitely adds to the disadvantage. So qualifying here, we're getting towards the end, probably about 2 laps left here. This is probably the penultimate lap here, so we're heading up to the top corner here, and it was kind of tough to get the right line here. So I think I recognised it in the second race, but halfway through the second race I sort of finally figured it out. There's Tom L spinning around there. I think he had a half spin, and then that's his sort of first main spin. Bit of a strange place to spin around, but I think John spun around there at some point in qualifying as well. But yes, it's a good experience on this track layout, on these conditions as well. But I think that I knew at this point this was my last lap, so I was really going for it. So up to the top corner here, you can see we're really pushing it here, and we're going to be late on the brakes here and very sideways. Oh, that would have lost us a bit of time there, but we're quite quick on the throttle. Quick left, quick right here. The kart's getting a bit sideways. My car really had no grip whatsoever, so that was not too great, you know, considering the wet conditions anyway. The tyres seem to be very low on grip anyway, but I knew the start-finish line was coming up. There we go, across the start-finish line. I knew that was my last lap, so I really went for it. I don't actually know, they don't say, but that could have been my fastest lap, which, if it was pretty lucky. But yeah, this is sort of the notes from Twitter as well. If you don't follow the Twitter, it's in the description. But yeah, that's the sort of brief summary. It wasn't quite as close as I expected, really. I got pole by about a second over Tom L. My dad was third, and John was fourth. And then we look forward to the first race of the season. It's quite a big one for me, this one, because last season, Tim, who is back in Australia now, basically dominated. And you can see once again we get a really bad start like we have in the past. Tom L rockets into first position. My dad also gets a good start. He's into second position here, but then he half spins on the first corner, and that loses me a bit of time as I have to sort of jam the brakes on and get a bit sideways. I couldn't really. There was contact there as the back of my car sort of slid into the side of my dad's car, but there's nothing I really could do there. He sort of spun it right in the middle of the track. I think John got through there as well, alright, but that's already lost me about 3, maybe 4 seconds to Tom L. So that's definitely gonna be a disadvantage here. But it's all about trying to close down at this point here, and now try and get back that time that we lost, obviously, through that mistake on the first corner here. But I really like these conditions. Obviously, it's getting drier all the time. Every lap you go around, it's getting a little tiny bit drier. So obviously that's something to remember, that every single lap a bit more confidence. The track will get a tiny bit dry, obviously, every time our kart goes over. I mean, obviously offline it will still be wet. Obviously it's not raining at the moment, so it slightly will evaporate, you know, bits that are online. But yeah, offline won't exactly be dry, let's be honest about that. I mean, none of the track's dry at the moment. It's very slippery, and you see random twitches in the steering. And I'm seeing Tom L here take some very odd lines. Obviously it's his first time going around this layout of the track, but I'm taking some different lines, but it's actually working out for him here. But we have closed the gap down quite a bit here, significantly closed that gap in the last 1.5 laps here, and we're pretty much right up behind him once again here. I didn't really think about it, but in qualifying I must have actually had better pace than I expected. I thought Tom L was going to beat me in qualifying, and I also thought my dad was really quick in qualifying. But somehow I managed to pull together at least one good lap by the look of it there, because we went fastest by about a second. So I managed to pull together at least one good lap. But yeah, this is the part of the track where Tom L does manage to get quite a lot of speed through this part of the track here. Obviously he's a lot larger than the rest of us here, so he manages to build up the speed. But we're managing to sort of stay with the slipstream here, and we're sort of just about, we get a bit sideways through there. I don't think Tom put down the throttle just as quickly as I did there. So initially I did close up a little bit here, but on the brakes you can see full lock basically through here, and still a bit sideways on the exit here. It's kind of crazy. I actually enjoyed the full wet conditions. I think we've only ever been in full wet conditions once. That was the first round of the 2014 season with Ben, Job and Tom, I think, were racing that day. I suppose there were other random people on the track, but basically that was a lot of fun. Well, sort of a lot of fun. It was obviously you get drenched, but it was a lot of fun because it was really tricky conditions. But yeah, I enjoyed it nonetheless. Anyway, top hairpin time. Slightly looking over to the right hand side and slightly missing my braking points, but I was looking because my dad has spun here, so that's going to give John a good opportunity to be on the podium in his first race here, unless John makes a mistake as well. It looks like he'll be on the podium for the first race of the season, which will be great for him. Obviously get a bit of confidence, and I did talk to John about this a lot afterwards, and he was really enjoying his karting. It's only his second time coming here. He said that he wants to go a lot more, which is good, because obviously we always want to have a lot more people going. It gives a lot of things to talk about, so it's really good to see John enjoying his go-karting as well. It's only obviously his second time coming here, so he's still learning all the time. But I definitely said to him afterwards that, you know, if you keep up this sort of improvement, like race to race, you're going to be battling with us at the front very soon, which will be exciting. As many people battling for the win as possible. I think John's got a realistic chance of winning a race before the end of the season. But we're looking down the inside of Tom here, and there's contact. Couldn't really avoid that there. I don't know. What do you guys think? I was thinking about this at this point here. Do I what do I do now? Because I was like, maybe could have backed out there, but I thought I had the inside line. But you know, I thought a little bit harsh. I probably wasn't that far enough alongside to really sort of claim the road there. But you know, I suppose it really what your interpretation of the rules are. I mean, in Formula 1, I think, you know, you've got a little bit down the inside, you're allowed to go for the overtake. But yeah, it's just how it is. Obviously, Tom was never going to not turn into the corner like he did just there. So yeah, I mean, it's just what you guys think. I think maybe just a racing accident. Tom, you know, Tom could have given me a little bit more room. Obviously, he could have gone a little bit wider through the corner, and we could have gone side by side. But it's just all experience. Obviously, Tom doesn't know that because it's his first time using this track layout, so he didn't really know that we could go side by side through there. He probably just thought it's a one-way street, if you know what I mean. So only one of us can go through there at the same time. But there you can see Tom got a bit sideways through there, and we've closed up quite a bit here, and we've got a really nice run, and that's going to be a good move down the inside. This time we've got the move done, the same move as before, but we've got a much better run through the corner. And what, about halfway through this race, we've managed to make the move, and we're up into the lead of the race, exactly where I wanted to be. I wanted to sort of cement first position in this first race here. Oh, there's contact though. Tom L hits the back of me there. I'm not sure if he really expected me to, you know, obviously I was going to fend there. I couldn't really do anything about that. He just obviously carried too much speed into the corner there. I couldn't really disappear, but yeah, obviously taking a bit too much speed into the corner there, Tom L, and maybe missing his braking a bit there. Sort of expected me to brake a bit later, but if I'd braked in later there, I'd have been off into the barriers on the other side. So the kind of annoying thing about having Tom L behind you is the fact he's so fast in a straight line that I basically just have to defend every lap since you get past. I mean, if you've got a big pace advantage over him, you know, you can defend for a couple of laps and then you've got enough of an advantage to sort of just take your normal line once again. But yeah, it's kind of tough. I mean, Tom's really fast in a straight line and he knows that, so he can sort of pick and choose where he goes a lot of the time. I mean, he's sometimes got enough of a pace advantage to just drive clean around the outside of you, and it's not ideal obviously if you're trying to defend a position from him. But you can see I'm going defensive once again, down to the hairpin once again, braking, steering in. But this time I make a slight mistake. I run out a bit wide there. I didn't obviously take the quite right line there because I was running out a bit too far and losing the traction and sliding out wide once again. But you know, every lap the track, I said, was getting a bit dry. I was getting a bit more confident, so I was pretty happy. I mean, we've got probably about 3.5 minutes to go in this race here, so at this point I'm just sort of worried about defending from Tom, and then after that we'll see what we can do. I mean, just pull out an advantage and see what my lap time is. But I started making mistakes where I was running over the curb on the inside of that corner there, and I'm watching this back. It was a big mistake because every time I run over that curb, it sort of sends me out a bit wide, obviously, because it takes one of the wheels off the ground. There's one less wheel sort of gripping to the track, and obviously on the curb it's not going to be grippy whatsoever. Like, touching the curbs in wet conditions is normally a no-no. Like, you shouldn't be doing that really, but it's not like it's against the rules, but just the fact that, you know, you want to have as much grip as possible, and when you go across the curbs like you do here, I mean, I slightly went across them there, you just lose grip, and it's really tough for the kart to stay stable in those sort of conditions. But we're starting to catch up to John here. He did make a couple of mistakes, he told me, in this first race here, so it wasn't just like, you know, flat out pace that he was losing a lap here. He did sort of half spin or something, I think, a couple of times, John here, so he's lost a bit of time here through that. And we're coming up to lap him any second now, but we're going defensive here. We're looking to the inside here, and Tom L's going around the outside, and he steers across the front of me. Oh, that is, I mean, from my point of view, I've watched that quite a few times now, and Tom did agree with me afterwards that was his fault. I mean, he sort of just said that he didn't realise he was just about to go for the overtake and then pull back in front of me, but he sort of pulled in a bit too quickly and, you know, just sort of wiped himself out in the front of my car. I couldn't really do anything there. I mean, I did look at it. Obviously, there is a bit of track on the inside. There is a bit of track I could have gone to, but you know, offline, you know, I've got to brake a lot earlier if I'm offline. This is the racing line, wider into the corner and then sort of steer in like John did here, but he's got a bit sideways, and I'm quite lucky there. I mean, if I was held up behind John for a couple of laps, Tom L could have sort of caught back up again. But yeah, now I just need to focus and try and bring home this victory. But it's always really close racing with Tom L. Obviously, we're pretty similar in terms of pace over one lap, and over a race distance he normally gets a better start and I normally have to try and close him down, but then as soon as I go defensive, if I do manage to get past him, he always has a good chance to get back past, obviously with the straight line speed. So it's tough. It's going to be a really big battle this season. It's going to be tough to win this championship. Definitely it's going to be the toughest championship by far to try and win. The season 2 was not exactly the greatest because it was basically me doing all the rounds, and then there's a big gap in the amount of rounds that everyone else did. So yeah, I mean, the first season I thought was pretty good. I mean, still there's quite a big gap between first and second, but yeah, hopefully this should be a lot closer this season. I mean, hopefully you guys are going to support the series. Obviously leaving a like and everything on the series is really appreciated. And you can see there Tom L is catching up. Obviously you can see me in front of him now, so he's going to really be pushing to try and get any time back as possible, but I don't know whether it's going to be possible. I think this even could be the last lap of the race here, up to the start finish line. There's the checker flag. We win the first race of the season, exactly what I needed. I didn't have much confidence towards the second half of the last season, basically because I wasn't winning any races. There's a lot of second places, and luckily for me there, well, not really, I don't know, luckily, I don't know, I thought I drove a pretty good race there and managed to get the victory. But reverse grid time. So you can see there my dad starts on pole position. John did get a podium in his first race. Tom, creeping there. He got out of his grid spot there. That's a bit naughty. Shouldn't be really sort of creeping and sort of rolling when the lights are on. But yeah, anyway, so Tom L goes straight into the lead of the race there. Probably slightly helped through rolling at the start of the maybe that's why I get such good starts. I don't know, but yeah, we've stayed in 4th place with Tom L obviously in the lead this race here. My dad's just in front here, and I think I go for a bit of an optimistic move down the inside here, side by side with my dad. See, I think that accident with Tom L at the start of the race could be avoided just like that, because we went through there side by side quite easily there. So up to the top hairpin here, I sort of had to go defensively. I just double checking that my dad wasn't going to go for an overtake there. I don't know if that was slightly bit aggressive there, trying to go for the overtake. John going very wide through there, nearly hits the tyres on the outside. He's sliding quite a lot here, John, and you can see he's sliding once again. He's taking a decent line through there, John, but he's got sideways once again, and we're going to try and go for a move. We've jumped over the curve down the inside. I say sorry to John there. It wasn't exactly the ideal place to go for an overtake, but I saw the lead just going up and up and up to Tom L in the lead here, so I was like, we've just got to try and close down that gap. And now the gap's probably about 4-5 seconds, you could say, to Tom L here. So it's a big task on our hands here to try and close down Tom L in the lead of this race. It's going to be tough, obviously, with 9 minutes or so of this race remaining. It's going to be it's tough to close down this gap. It's going to have to be like at least half a second a lap now to close down this gap to Tom. And you can say he's not exactly a slow driver. He won on his first ever weekend. He won the reverse grid race of, was it round number 7, I think, of the championship last year? Yeah, round number 7 last year was his first race in the championship. He came 3rd, I think, in the first race, and then he won the reverse grid race. So yeah, it was really good for Tom, obviously, to have that experience straight away of winning. So it was nice to see. But now we've got to try and hope that he doesn't win this race and close it down. I mean, if we can win this race, obviously we've got pole position, which is 5 points, 15 points for the first race. So we're on 20 points in comparison to Tom L's 12 points here. So if we can win this race here, we'll have an 11-point lead at the top of the championship, which is incredibly important moving forward. So let's see if we can do that. Let's hope we can. But a big mistake on my part. That's going to lose us a bit of time here. Running really wide, nearly hitting the tyre wall on the outside, but luckily just about staying out of the wall and keeping our position. So now the fast right-handers towards the end of the lap. I really love this track. It's just like flat out, apart from that top hairpin basically. When it's slightly drier and you go on this track, it's so much fun. It literally is just braking at this top hairpin here. Obviously in these conditions here, you're lifting off quite a lot due to the conditions being quite, well, not exactly ideal, obviously a bit greasy. So you can see here we're probably closed down a little bit, maybe half a second over the last 2 or 3 laps on Tom L. It's not noticeably different, to be perfectly honest. I did sort of have an epiphany halfway through this race. I suddenly realised what I was doing wrong through a majority of this race here, and I could have gained even more time in that first race. if I was following these lines here. I mean, it was basically going really wide here and then turning in late and sort of, there we go. I think that could have been the first lap I did it there. Go really wide and then sort of turn in like full lock and sort of straighten out the corner. I can't remember what they call it in MotoGP racing, where they sort of just go, I think, is it like a V? Is that what they call it? Like Ving off the corner? I'm not too sure. Something like that. Basically, you sort of go really wide and then you sort of cut back as quickly as possible on yourself. And yeah, I think it saves tyre wear in MotoGP. I think that's why they do it. But you can see here going really wide and sort of cutting back to the last part of the apex of the corner there and sort of going flat out through there. So that's sort of the idea, but doing that actually started me to lose a bit of concentration on that part of the track there. I started losing a bit of time, and I'm not too sure whether it was this newfound technique at the top of the track, but I did seem to start closing down Tomel a little bit after that. So I think the gap's come down a little bit more now, maybe about another second's come down here, so it's probably about 3.5 seconds now, where it was for maybe 5 seconds at the start. So you can see once again really wide, tight into the corner, apex once again, late apex, and once again looking good here. But it's this corner here. See, I was going a lot wider at the start, and now I'm sort of slowly getting a bit closer to what Tom L was doing. I'm not too sure which is actually better, but yeah, basically I'm sort of reverting back to maybe the style of Tom L whilst at the start of the racing in qualifying especially. I was sort of taking a really wide line through there. You'd sort of think the wider racing line would be the better one, obviously, if you just went really wide throughout the whole corner, like the wet racing line. But you know, we're racing on wet tracks with completely slick tyres. Like you'd never see that in Formula 1, would you? You'd never see like Sebastian Vettel go out with 10 laps to go in the pouring, well, it's obviously not pouring rain here, but greasy conditions. You generally not see them out in these sort of conditions. I mean, you know, Jenson Button is someone in Formula 1 at least, which is really great with these sort of conditions, obviously, where it's wet on track but it's not actually raining. You know, the conditions are improving all the time. It's sort of the conditions where Jenson Button really does strive. But I suppose in a McLaren Honda in 2015 and 14 and 13, you can't really prove how good you actually are. But yeah, getting a bit off topic, but we are definitely closing down Tom L here. I think we have got just under half this race to go now. I'm literally just doing it on how long the clip is, and we're about halfway through the clip. So yeah, I think we're about halfway through this race now. And yeah, of course, guys, if you do want to go and check out the website, I'd appreciate it. Like, there's no adverts or anything on this. I'm not like gaining anything from you going on it, but you know, checking out and any sort of feedback on how you think it could look a bit better would be nice. And my friend John, who's racing here today, is quite good at sort of design, that sort of stuff. Whilst I did it all, I did the whole website, he sort of just advised me on a couple of things that have been, you know, altered now, but made it look a little bit better than it was last year. But yeah, you guys, you know, have any ideas of how to make it look a little bit better? I'm using Moonfruit, which is a free website builder. I mean, there's obviously not a huge amount of detail it can go into, but I just want a basic sort of clean looking website where you can sort of, well, we're getting quite sideways through there. Yeah, like a sort of a clean looking website. No, John, don't do this to me. Don't come out in front of me here and ruin my lap. But yeah, just make a nice website to look at. It's easy to navigate around, that sort of thing. So yeah, that's sort of what I was aiming for. But yeah, at this point I started looking over to the pits and seeing whether the checker flag would be ready. John very sideways through here, but being stuck up behind John, no offence, lad, but it's losing me a bit of time, obviously, to Tom in the lead this race here. So at this point, I went for a bit of a risky overtake. One off the racing line, really, late on the brakes, and I really had to steer quite tight in here. I did let John know afterwards that I wasn't trying to cut him off there. I don't know whether I did cut him off at all, but it obviously was, you know, really quite close to hitting the tyre wall, and I was quite lucky I managed to get the kart turned in. Probably partly due to the track being a bit drier now. I mean, I hadn't really adapted my driving style to the conditions, obviously, as they got dry. Obviously, it was a lot wetter in qualifying. Obviously, seemed to excel in qualifying somehow, and managed to get qualifying by over a second. But yeah, in the first race, I thought I did better, but the second race, not quite as much of an advantage over Tom L, but probably partly down to as well him not being as experienced at the start of the track, and obviously getting more experience at the track, you get faster. So it's just getting a bit closer in general, but Tom L had the faster lap out of myself and him in that first race of the season. And the second race of the season, it was actually the other way around. I mean, it's not really spoiling anything because I think you can probably see it yourself. But I was faster in the second race. I was about 4 or 5 tenths faster than Tom L in this second race. in the lap times. So I thought that was pretty good. Obviously, when you're chasing someone down, you're obviously really trying a lot harder than, well, you know, you're pushing as best you can when you're behind, obviously, because you want to try and gain the position. But when you're in the lead of the race, you're more sort of defending. You're not as worried about setting incredible lap times because you just want to be staying on the road. But you can see my dad's coming to be lapped here, and he lets me and Tom through. I'm not sure if he lets John through as well. I sort of was trying to say thank you, but I sort of was halfway through the corner and my sort of hand sort of fell off the steering wheel, so I was sort of an awkward sort of wave to him, just saying thank you. But I think he understood. I was like, you know, appreciating him just letting us through there, obviously, because we're in the heat of a battle, and I was really closing down Tom L here. Obviously, you know, John, I'm going to blame you, but I felt if I didn't get caught up behind John, I could have really, you know, been right behind Tom at this point here. I could have been like right behind his bumper, and I could have gone for an overtake maybe. But yeah, blaming John for that, to be perfectly honest. But that's just racing drivers' excuses. But yeah, we've got about, I'm not sure, is this the last lap we could be going on to here? I think this could be the last lap of the race here. So we have a couple of opportunities to go for an overtake. Probably most notably up at the top hairpin here. Can we go for an overtake down the inside? Probably a bit too far back, to be perfectly honest, to go for an overtake right now. We're braking late. We've slightly gone back to the old sort of driving line through there, which is a bit weird. Not too sure I did that in the last lap of the race, but we're really closing in here on Tom L. He's took a wide line through there. He's taken a bad line through there as well. He's gone a bit wide. We're right up behind him here. We're not quite close enough to go for a move down the inside here in the last lap of the race. There's the checker flag. Oh, I was gutted. I was absolutely gutted. I closed down that gap, you know, from about 5 or 6 seconds down to 0.7, I think was the ending gap. Obviously I was gutted with that, but I thought 32 points out of 35 is not too bad for the first race of the season, or first round of the season I should say. But yeah, so race 2, reverse grid, Tom L getting a great start, and yeah, he eventually won the race. I was second, my dad finished third, and John was fourth. And that is how the driver standings looks. 32 points for myself from the pole position and a first and second. First and second for Tom gives him 27 points. John got a third and a fourth, which puts him on 18. And then my dad got a fourth and a third, which puts him on 18 points as well. So yeah, that is it, guys. Thank you for watching this first round of the season. I really do appreciate it. We'll be back in about a month's time for the second round of the season. I'm not too sure it'll be raining once again, but fingers crossed it will be. Gives me a bit more of a chance, at least. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave a like and share with your friends and everything, please. This has been AlexZAfRo. Goodbye.